Hi everyone, welcome to my Saturn in Pisces transit video. This particular horoscope will be, well, not horoscope, video is going to be covering what you can expect for Saturn entering Pisces on a world level, so on a global level, as well as a personal level, but I'm not going to be going into the details of every single horoscope. So if you do want to know how Saturn in Pisces is going to impact you personally, you can actually purchase my 2023 yearly horoscopes by clicking on the link in the description box below. Each video covers Saturn in Pisces for your sign for about 20 to 30 minutes, so it's definitely worth checking that one out. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. I won't be doing a March horoscopes video for you guys this month because I will just be focusing on Saturn in Pisces, and there'll be another Pluto in Aquarius video coming out in a couple of weeks. So if you do want to catch that one, please subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you can check me out at CAISTROLOGY. So that is CAISTROLOGY. And I also post lots of content there as well. Now, in terms of the dates for Saturn in Pisces, Saturn will enter Pisces on the 7th of March in 2023. And this is a 3-year transit. So Saturn is going to be in Pisces until the 13th of February in 2026. However, in the second half of 2025, Saturn will enter the sign of Aries briefly for about 3 months. So that's the 24th of May through till the 1st of September. Now, before I really get into it, I just want to say, you guys should cut yourselves some slack. We are in a very difficult period of time, astrologically speaking, and that is because Saturn is currently at 29 degrees as I'm filming this video on the 5th of March. So we are at the anaretic degree of Saturn in Aquarius, and then once Saturn gets to 0 degrees Pisces, I mean, we're feeling the pressure now. So anytime Saturn changes signs, no matter what sign you are, you'll be experiencing that shift coming through. So this period of time can be characterized by fatigue, fears coming up, revisiting things from the past which were quite painful. We can be closing out one chapter and starting a new chapter. And by the way, you know, it's not necessarily doom and gloom. I'm just saying that you guys should go easy on yourselves, but also on each other as well. So I just want to say that March in general is a huge period of transition as we are having Saturn change signs, and then on the 23rd of March, Pluto is going to change signs as well. So I would say that this is the biggest month of all of 2023 when it comes to adjusting to these new chapters that are starting. But first we need to close out old chapters. So lots of people that I know are going through some sort of career change, identity crisis, breakdown in relationships, or they're just trying to affect change in an area of life where it feels like we're putting a lot of energy and effort into that and it's hard to see results. So once again, just give yourselves some grace, and you know, if you need to take it easy, take it easy. I personally have lightened the load on my readings for the month of March, but I'm personally being squared by Saturn, so to my sun and my moon. So anyway, in terms of where you have Pisces in your chart, this is what you will want to check out just to see where that new chapter is starting. So for example, if you are an Aries ascendant, Pisces will be in your 12th house. If you're a Taurus ascendant, let me start again. If you're an Aries, Pisces is in your 12th house. If you're a Taurus, Pisces is in your 11th house, whether you're sun, moon, or rising. If you are a Gemini, Pisces will be your 10th house cusp. If you are Cancer, Pisces is going to be in your 9th house. If you are Leo, Pisces will be in your 8th house. If you're a Virgo, Pisces will be in the 7th house. If you are Libra, Pisces will be in your 6th house. If you're excuse me, a Scorpio, Pisces will be in your 5th house. If you are Sagittarius, Pisces will be the 4th house. If you're Capricorn, Pisces is going to be the 3rd house, and Aquarius, Pisces will be 2nd house. And of course, if you are a Pisces, you have Pisces in the 1st house. So the reason I'm mentioning the houses is because this is where Saturn will be transiting for 3 years. So again, this will be from the 7th of March 2023 through till the 13th of February in 2026. And this is where we can experience some kind of delay, hardship, setback, or we can be starting a new project, putting a lot of energy and effort into these areas. In terms of who will be the most affected: Pisces, Geminis, Sagittarians, and Virgos. So these are the mutable signs. So wherever you have Pisces in the chart, this is where you're clearing out karma, becoming more organized, doing some kind of cleanup, and streamlining your affairs and your priorities. So this will be very beneficial for routine, as well as discipline. And if you have any kind of substance issues, then you can actually become more disciplined in this area and overcome them. And just generally speaking, Pisces rules over our dreams. So this is like whatever you are dreaming about, whatever you are creatively inspired by, Saturn entering Pisces can see you grounding your dreams into reality and actually experiencing them in the 3D. So Saturn in general rules over persistence, routine, repetition, authority figures, leadership, the government, obstacles, karma, delays, as well as it's a career planet too. Okay, so this is where we're doing a lot of hard work, and on a positive level, Saturn helps us with perseverance, determination, taking accountability, becoming reliable, making promises and fulfilling those promises. And it's also about laying a foundation. On the negative side, Saturn indicates, like I said before, delays, setbacks, obstacles, limitations, and also feeling criticized, being overly critical of ourselves or others, and experiencing that from other people. So in terms of what Pisces rules over, I'm going to go through a few different headlines, and then I will really drill into how Saturn transiting Pisces is going to impact those areas. So Pisces rules over inspiration, creativity, the dream realm, the other side, spirituality, as well as past lives, and anyone who works in, let's say, esoteric areas. So this is like your tarot readers, your psychics, and your mediums, etc. Pisces also rules over photography, poetry, filmography, acting, the music industry, water. And so this is large bodies of water, the fishing industry, and islands as well, and marine life, of course. Pisces is also associated with the oil industry, the pharmaceutical industry, drugs and alcohol, just generally speaking, and also things like espionage, refugees, unemployment, disabilities, so anyone living with a disability, and it also rules over taking care of people who need it or who can't take care of themselves. It is also associated with illnesses of all kinds, physical illness, mental illness, and I mean, obviously that's a lot to go off of, but also like religion and prayer. So with all that being said, now let's really drill into it. Okay, so if you work in the spiritual industry, so if you're an astrologer, a tarot reader, a psychic, a medium, if you do past life regressions, or you're a hypnotherapist, this can see your career really taking off, or maybe you will be embarking on a career in one of these areas, depending where you have Pisces in the chart. If you already work in these industries or in these areas, you may be becoming more masterful in your craft. You can be honing your skills. You may want to set up a business in one of these areas, and that would be very much supported by Saturn being in Pisces. Now, on the negative side of things, Saturn entering Pisces indicates a regulation of these areas. So there may be some sort of restrictions that are put into place, or regulations that are put into place when it comes to, tarot readings or psychic readings, and what you are or are not allowed to say during a reading. Presently speaking, laws in those areas are different, country to country. In Australia, I think they're relatively lax, but I'm aware that in the UK there are a lot tighter rules in this area. Now, on a different level, you may be experiencing some kind of censorship in this domain. So if you're an astrologer like myself, or a tarot reader, I'm also a tarot reader, or if you're posting on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, there may be some sort of regulation that comes in here where it's like you're not allowed to cover these certain topics in readings, or certain platforms may ban let's say content creation, or suppress content creation covering these topics in these areas. So now that I'm talking about it in this reading, if you are an astrologer or a psychic or something like that, you may want to diversify the platforms where you are pushing out content, because I really do think that there will be some kind of restrictive forces or limitations that come through in this area. And now, on a different level, in terms of water, like I said, Pisces rules over large bodies of water. So our oceans and lakes and just large bodies of water in general may become regulated somehow. So on a positive note, there could be a cleanup that takes place. So if there's pollution in certain areas, or if there is let's say a gratuitous amount of fishing that is taking place, which is affecting the marine life or the surrounding marine life, then this can become more tightly regulated. On a negative note, access to clean water may become restricted or limited in some areas, but I want to present like the flip-flop of that. So that's one way that could play out. But on a different level, if there are communities, cities or countries where access to clean water was an issue and it's not, let's say, built into the infrastructure of the community, this can become part of the foundation where now there will be access to it. So obviously I'm giving polar opposite examples, but this is a general reading, so it really just depends on the city or the country that is being impacted by this transit. On a different note, because Pisces rules over the fishing industry and marine life, there may be more restrictions and regulations when it comes to water vehicles or water travel. So boats, ships, submarines, etc. Maybe there will be tighter restrictions in place when it comes to obtaining a marine license. And on a different note, there may be permits required to fish in areas or zones where previously it was like, a free-for-all. And obviously I mentioned that a bit earlier, but I just wanted to reiterate that as well. Fishing zones themselves could become even smaller in certain areas. And, this is an unfortunate potential byproduct of Saturn entering Pisces. We may see the extinction of certain fish species or marine life species. And even if it's not extinction, maybe there will be certain species of fish or marine life which are now considered to be an endangered species. So on a different note, with Pisces ruling over islands in general, unfortunately we may see some interference from more established, let's say, communities or peoples when it comes to tribes or islands where the people just want to be left alone. So there may be some kind of push for civilization in these some particular islands and communities. And on a different note, there may be a restriction to access of anything that we would consider to be an island. So we've got the Maldives, Fiji, Greece, the Caribbean islands, etc. I do think that there will be quite a big focus on islands in general when it comes to this Saturn in Pisces transit, which once again is March 2023 through till February 2026. And just moving along though, so with Pisces ruling over the oil industry and the pharmaceutical industry, we can see more regulations and restrictions coming in here. So when it comes to the oil industry, maybe we're going to see some kind of government takeover when it comes to privately owned companies in the oil industry. When it comes to the pharmaceutical industry, there's a few different ways that this can play out, and I do want to present a more a balanced overview of potential outcomes. On one hand, because Pisces rules over drugs in general, and Saturn rules over some sort of authority or government intervention or rules coming in or even laws coming in, there may be in some countries, we may be seeing people have less control over what pharmaceuticals or drugs they consume, ingest, or otherwise may need to accept. And these can be forcibly administered by certain authority figures. And obviously this is a very delicate topic. It's a fragile area that I'm covering. So please just remember that this is a general reading and I'm not outlining specific countries or individuals on a different level. And I would see this as being more positive. Because Saturn rules over karma and responsibility and taking accountability, we may see certain pharmaceutical companies being forced to take accountability for whatever drugs they are pushing out. So there could be some sort of, let's say, karma that comes in here, or regulations which come in, or even an audit as well, because Saturn rules over auditing. Now, on a personal level, it may be more difficult to obtain certain prescriptions. So just bear that in mind with regard to your personal situation. And we may even see a shortage in certain medications as well for one reason or another. Now, with Pisces ruling over drugs and the alcohol industry, there could be harsher penalties that come in for drug dealing and drug possession, and maybe even tighter laws surrounding alcohol consumption in parts of the world where, let's say, there are age restrictions. So maybe the age restriction is going to be increased, or harsher penalties in countries where it's maybe even forbidden to drink alcohol. And moving along though, Pisces rules over espionage and private investigators. So there may be the integration of let's say certain surveillance or intelligence organizations and governments or some sort of authoritative body. So with Pisces ruling over literally cameras and filming, and Saturn being in Pisces, I could definitely see there being laws which come in which are more permissive in these areas where it's legal to film in certain areas, whereas previously maybe that wasn't allowed. Now, If you are interested in becoming a private investigator, this is a very supportive transit for that. And also, you know, with all of these topics, right, with all of these areas, if you were wanting to pursue a career or start a project or get a license or a permit, this would be an ideal time to do so. So just to recap, you know, if you're wanting to pursue a career in television, film, acting, the music industry, the fishing industry, if you wanted to become a marine biologist, or if you were interested in, I don't know, being a scuba diver instructor, or working in the oil industry, the pharmaceutical industry, if you wanted to open a bar, you know, these sorts of things are supported by Saturn being in Pisces. So go for it if that's something that tickles your fancy and that you've been wanting to pursue for a while. And if you already dabble in these areas, or if you just have hobbies or passions in these areas, this can see you taking those more seriously and maybe even building a career out of it. And also, Saturn rules over positions of leadership and power. So again, if you work in any of these areas already, this could see you procuring a position of leadership or having a lot more responsibility in your chosen industry. Now, looking at Pisces ruling over unemployment, refugees, illnesses of all kinds, disabilities, etc. Saturn being in Pisces can see there being, with refugees, maybe a restriction or limitations when it comes to certain countries accepting refugees. So maybe there will be a decrease in the amount of refugees that are let into certain countries. On a different level though, there may be more stringent, let's say, checks and balances to go through. So it may become a much more difficult process to seek asylum in another country. On a different note, with Pisces ruling over disability, Saturn being in Pisces can indicate that, again, there are more checks and balances in order to maybe be eligible for some sort of disability pension or concession. On a different note though, this can see there being some kind of correction when it comes to these areas. So because Pisces rules over things just like being unorganized and being in disarray, we can see there being some sort of positive influence coming through with Saturn being in Pisces, where it's like there are more systems in place. Oh my gosh, did my camera just turn off? Guys, please let me know if you can still hear me. If someone in the chat could confirm, that would be amazing. Okay, thank you. Thanks for confirming. I appreciate it. So, just trying to remember where I was with this. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to start over. So let's keep it moving. With Pisces ruling over unemployment, and Saturn also representing restrictions and limitations, I do think that we are going to see an increase when it comes to the rate of unemployment, unfortunately, but on a different level. This is more on a personal level, right? If you are wanting to seek out unemployment benefits, this is something that may become available to you. Now, like I said, Pisces does rule over illnesses of all kinds. So these can be physical, these can be mental. On a personal level, I I see this as a positive in the sense that Saturn represents reality and things being concrete, and us being able to take accountability in certain areas of our lives. So if you struggle with some kind of mental illness or a physical ailment or physical illness, Saturn being in Pisces can actually give you more determination and persistence to either work on taking control in the ways that are available to you. Again, I'm aware that this is a very sensitive topic, and on a different note, if you're experiencing a chronic illness, Saturn being in Pisces can see you finding ways to I don't want to say adapt, but basically put or lay foundations in place in order for you to potentially manage your condition, or there may be a support person or some type of government support which is available to you if you are basically living with a disability or with some kind of mental illness. Now, Saturn being in Pisces indicates that missing children can be accounted for, and I'm speaking on this when it comes to more of a global level. Okay, so obviously there are I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, millions of missing children. Okay, so if anyone has stats on that, feel free to write a comment or let me know in the chat. Nevertheless, Saturn entering Pisces can indicate that there is some sort of system being put in place when it comes to accounting for these missing children or even missing individuals in general, because Pisces rules over anything which is lost, anything which is hidden, and that includes people as well. And the abuse of children, or even abuse of individuals with disabilities, can be brought to justice, okay, because Saturn rules over karma and justice. And so Saturn being in Pisces indicates that there is some kind of correction which can be taking place. And just finishing up here, right? So we've got Pisces ruling over anything which is connected to Hollywood, anything glamorous and glitzy. Now, you may be inclined to say, well, that's Leo territory. And yes, I agree in the sense that Leo rules over entertainment, but Pisces rules over cameras, film, acting, and therefore paparazzi. And it also rules over exclusive communities or gated communities. And of course, we don't know celebrities personally, or for most of us, we don't know what it's like when it comes to celebrities being in the public eye or Hollywood and so on and so forth. So Saturn entering the sign of Pisces can indicate that there is some kind of huge rejection of Hollywood, or rejection of this over the top glamorous lifestyle, because Saturn rules over minimalism. So there may be a turning away from, let's say, overt displays of luxury or exclusivity. And Pisces also rules over religion, prayer, and like I said before, anything to do with spirituality. So Saturn entering Pisces, on one hand, can indicate the suppression or the restriction of these communities or of these religious faiths. So I would just be mindful that if you practice a certain religion or subscribe to a certain religion, or if you just consider yourself to be a religious person in general, on one level, there may be some sort of rejection of religion, because Saturn rules over rejection. But on a different note, there could be some sort of real push to integrate this into a certain community, or to there could even be like a resurgence of let's say, religious groups in general, but I would just be mindful of cult leaders or somehow being exploited when it comes to charitable actions, charity, and donations in general. So, I think that's about it. Actually, no, one more thing. Pisces, of course, rules over water, and Saturn rules over ice. So, anything to do with glaciers or maybe Antarctica may be front and center in the media over the next 3 years, or there may be some kind of crisis when it comes to glaciers and Antarctica. I don't want to freak anyone out. Basically Saturn will always bring some sort of obstacle or limitation or setback or delay to whatever sign it transits. So it's not something that we should be freaked out by. Saturn changes signs every 2.5, 3 years, but it is just something to be aware of, that wherever you have Saturn transiting, this is where things will become a little bit harder or more difficult. Actually, before I wrap it up, I'm just going to make a special note for anyone who has their sun in Pisces, or anyone who has Pisces in the 6th house or the 10th house. And I'm also going to talk about Pisces Moon individuals as well, just as, a special tribute to Pisces who are going to be experiencing Saturn in their signs. So if you're a Pisces Sun, if you have Pisces in the 6th house, if you have Pisces on the 10th house cusp, this can see you gaining a powerful leadership position in your career. You may be starting a new project. This could actually take you 3 years, or it could be a very intense period of work for you for this 3-year period. On a different note, you may feel like you're being a little bit limited or held back when it comes to your career or when it comes to achieving your goals. Or it's sort of like a blending of the two, where you're just going to need to exert a lot more energy and effort in order to achieve your goals. So you may be burning the candle at both ends if you are a Pisces Sun, or if you have Pisces on the 6th or 10th house cusp. Maybe you will have multiple jobs during this time. You may be starting your own business as well. That's another way that could play out. And on a different note, there could be periods of time where you don't work or you're unable to work. So Saturn can be somehow repressing your ability to work, or it could be that you are not able to work as much as what you normally do or what you would ordinarily like to. Now, on a different note, this can see some of you going through a 2.5, 3 year period to work towards retiring, or maybe you're actually planning to sell your company or close it down, or just really streamline it and prune it, so to speak. And again, this could take you until early 2026. And also, if you're a Pisces Sun, if you have a Pisces Midheaven, or if you have Pisces on the 10th house cusp, which would be Geminis, this can see you becoming a parent during this time, because the Sun can represent the father figure or becoming a father, and the 10th house is connected to the parental axes. Now, on a different level, if you are a Pisces Moon, or if you have Pisces on the IC, or on the 4th house cusp, so this would especially be Sagittarians having Pisces on the 4th house cusp. Again, you could become a parent, you could become a caregiver of sorts. You may be looking after the elderly or elderly individuals in your life. You could be taking on some kind of family commitment, and some of you may be adopting a child or fostering children if you're a Pisces Moon, or if you have Pisces on the 4th house cusp. You may be entering a retirement village if you're a Pisces Moon, or if you have Pisces on the 4th house cusp during this period of time. You may just have to help out your family a lot. Conversely, this may be a period of time where you are trying very, very hard to implement stronger boundaries when it comes to your family. You may not have as much access to your family during this 3-year transit. Maybe you're no longer living with them, or they're no longer living with you. Maybe you are living interstate or in different countries, or perhaps you just don't have as much time to see them for one reason or another. Having a Pisces moon or Sagittarius on the Pisces on the 4th house cusp can indicate that you may be navigating a difficult move or relocation process. So for example, you could be trying to obtain citizenship in another country or some kind of visa, or if you're navigating an interstate or even international relocation, this could take a lot of energy and effort. So this would be indicative of that Saturn transiting moon or Saturn transiting 4th house experience. And also the moon and the 4th house rule over our property and living circumstances, and Saturn rules over foundations and building. So you could be building a house or doing extensive renovations, or there could be a very intense clean up chapter that you go through. So maybe you have to clean out the whole house or clean up the property. And on a different note, this could be a difficult time for you emotionally speaking. You may be feeling a bit more melancholy at certain points. It doesn't necessarily mean, that you're going to be feeling this way for the whole 3-year period, but I would just be looking to see when will Saturn be within 2 or 3 degrees of your moon or of your 4th house cusp, just to get more timing on when you can be potentially experiencing let's say the downside of the emotional impact of Saturn transiting your moon or transiting your 4th house. Now, if you are a Pisces ascendant or Pisces rising, to be honest, all of the above can apply to you, maybe with the exception of the relocation process. But just generally speaking, if you are a Pisces ascendant, or you have Pisces in the 1st house, so even if you're like a really late Aquarius rising, as in if you're 27, 28, 29 degrees Aquarius rising, you could still have Saturn being in your 1st house. So this can indicate that you are becoming more responsible. This could indicate that you are burning the candle at both ends, having more work. There can be lots of promises that you feel that you need to uphold, or that you have obligations to other people. This can be a more taxing time on the body. So if you are a Pisces ascendant, just be very mindful not to, let's say, burn yourself out or take on too much responsibility. This can see you obtaining some kind of position of leadership in your life. Again, you could become a parent. Saturn transiting the ascendant or the moon. Okay, so Pisces moon, this can actually indicate falling pregnant, because it's a lot of pressure on the body. And I forgot to mention that even if you're a Pisces moon, or if you have Pisces on the 4th house cusp, this can see you becoming a parent as well. Actually, I think that was the first thing that I mentioned. Nevertheless, that's about it for this video, guys. So if you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And like I said at the beginning, I will be doing a video just like this for Pluto in Aquarius. So that will be in about a couple of weeks. But if you're subscribed to the channel, I am going to put out a live stream schedule for that one, so that you'll be able to see when I'll be doing that video, and you can catch it live. And once more, if you want to know how Saturn will impact you on a personal level, you can purchase your 2023 yearly horoscopes by clicking on the link in the description box below. And I would recommend purchasing for your Ascendant, Sun and Moon sign. So guys, enjoy your March, and I will see you in a couple of weeks.